Hi, this is Eric Phipps from Works Connection, and today I want to go over the installation process of our new Pro Launch start device. One, we'll be installing the fork ring onto the fork. What you don't want to ever do, you don't want to just stretch this around and wrap it around the fork. You take a risk of damaging both your fork and the fork ring itself. Now that you've got the front wheel and the fork off of the motorcycle, you want to remove the bolt from the fork ring. And we'll go ahead and slip it down over the top. You will have to slightly spread the fork ring over the wide part of where the lower triple clamp is. Then the fork ring will basically just fall into its position. Once you have the fork ring in its place, you can just leave this loose. We'll put the bolt in a second, but we can go ahead and get the fork back on the bike. So in step 2, you've chosen your correct template for your size and weight. I've gone ahead and went with the 100 millimeters, which is our standard. And I've cut out, using scissors or X-Acto knife, I've cut out the template. And this is a critical step. You want to be accurate with your cut, and you also want to be accurate with lining it up with the fork guard. That will really help your alignment from the side to side and also your up and down. I've gone ahead and used quite a bit of tape also. You want that really solid to the fork guard, because the next step will be taping the drill guide up, but you want to start with a good foundation and make it solid. In this step, I've taken the drill guide that's supplied in the kit and I've lined it up perfectly with the paper template that's taped to the fork guard. You want to make sure that the holes are all lined up nicely, and then you want to tape all the way around the perimeter of the drill guide to ensure that it stays put, because the next step will be drilling the two 3/16 holes. So in this step, we're going to go ahead and drill out the two 3/16 mounting holes that will be the supports for the trigger body assembly. I went ahead and installed a 3/16 drill bit. Again, you can also do this in a drill press. I'm going to use a cordless. And we'll just go ahead and drill through the upper hole first. And then do the lower. In this step, you've drilled your two 3/16 mounting holes. You're going to take the Phillips screws, remove them from the trigger assembly. I'm just going to go ahead and press these down through the drill guide and the plastic. And the only reason I'm doing this, and press it in a little bit, is it helps support the drill guide. The next step will be to bore the large hole. So this, along with the tape, just ensures that the drill guide stays in the perfect location. So you got your screws through the holes of the drill guide. Everything's ready. We're going to go ahead, and I've installed the countersink tool that we provide in the kit. Go ahead and got that tightened up. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to line this up on the X. And what the drill guide is going to do is, even if the counter bore is off a little bit as it's going through, it will be forced into the correct position. But you just still want to get it started in the center of the hole as much as possible. And then I'm going to go ahead and drill through here. So we've drilled a large diameter hole. Now I'm going to go ahead and chuck up the 5/16 drill bit. We're going to go ahead and drill out the lower hole, which is essentially a drain hole, and allows for water to get in there and to wash it out, flush out the backside of the trigger mechanism. So I'm going to go ahead and just drill the 5/16 hole. So I've got all 4 of the holes drilled in the backside of the fork guard, or within the fork guard. I've also removed the drill guide and the paper template. And depending on the model, this is a current model Honda. It's a softer material on the fork guard. You can see we have a little bit of material there, and then a little on the 5/16. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just take a razor blade and clean up that trim off the extra flashing. So we have all the holes drilled. I've remove the flashing from the hole so you have a nice smooth surface on the inside of the fork guard. It's time to countersink the upper and the lower mounting holes of the trigger mechanism. You want to do this step by hand. You don't want to do this with a drill, especially on the Honda models. It's a soft plastic. If you go too far, you can easily go through the fork guard, making it useless. So we're ready to mount the trigger assembly to the fork guard. You can see I've got the holes all countersunk. Made sure that the backing washers fit perfectly flush on the plastic. And we're going to go ahead. You definitely want to use a blue Loctite on the screws. When you go to put the body in, you'll notice that there's a lip on the back side of the trigger mechanism, and that will go into the large hole, and that's the entire support of the mechanism is that hole. The screws basically just hold it in place. And at this point we're going to line up the fork ring. What I've done is I put it in the back of a truck. You can use a trailer, truck, whatever is going to be able to pull the front end down to compress the front end with straps. And you can see I've tightened this bolt up just enough where I can move the band around for lineup. I want to have the trigger, I want to pull it down enough where the body is just above the fork ring so it can fully lift the trigger. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to lightly release the strap and have it actually hook in the band. So now we know we're lined up. Go ahead and torque it, and we recommend up to like 6 foot-pounds. For this last step, I'm going to show you how to set the ProLaunch start device by yourself. What I do is I stand on the left side of the bike and I get just a little bit of a roll going. I'm going to lean over and have my finger ready to lift, but I want to wait until the fork ring is compressed enough to go obviously past the center port of the ring before I want to lift the lever. If you do go a little bit early, it is designed that it will deflect off the bottom of the fork ring and still set, but ideally you want to clear the fork ring. So I'm going to get a little bit of a roll going. I'm going to grab the front brake that'll make the forks dive. At the same time, I'm just going to lift up and set it.